I live, there's virtually no Slavic community to speak of. Hence, I've never tried, much less tried to make, pierogi. So on this episode of Deep Dish, I'm taking a deep dive into Polish pierogi to see what I can learn and see if I can make a passable pierogi. Well, let's get started. I'm going to be making two different fillings today. The first one is probably the most common that I saw while I was researching for the episode, and that's the potato and cheese stuffed pierogi ruskie. But I also want to stuff some with my own homemade sauerkraut. So I'll begin by peeling and boiling the potatoes until they're nice and tender, and I'll also dice and saute the onions until they're very soft and golden brown. So we got a nice kind of medium-low heat here. I don't want to go too fast on these onions, because I want them to get nice and soft and golden brown. So I'll use about a tablespoon of butter, and of course, you know I love my bacon fat, so I'll go with a tablespoon of bacon fat as well. Onions right down into there. And this is probably going to take a good 15 minutes to get these onions cooked the way I like them. Nice pinch of salt. And get those all coated in that oil. Now we got about the color I'm looking for. Just kind of light gold. They're nice and soft and sweet. Now, I had two onions in there, and one of them's going to be for the potato filling, and the other one's for the sauerkraut filling, so I'm going to go ahead and take out about half of this for the potato filling. Now, to the other half, I'm going to add my sauerkraut. I've kind of finely chopped up my sauerkraut. I can bring the heat up. I'm just going to saute those two together for a few minutes, get that sauerkraut heated through. Now right toward the end, I'll throw in 1 clove of minced garlic. Just cook that for another minute or two. Now I'll just give that a little taste. Check for seasoning. Oh, that is begging for some crispy bits of bacon. Oh man, that would be good, but I'm going to leave it traditional and just give it a little more salt there to finish it off. Now that filling is done. Let's finish up that potato filling. Now what I'll do first is mash my potatoes. They're still nice and hot, because I'm putting cheese in here and I want it to melt, so I want this to be nice and hot. It gives me a chance to use this ricer, which I rarely use, but it's so much fun. Oh, look at it. Oh boy. No easier way to mash a potato than that. Now I'll hit those with a little bit of salt. I think this would be considered to be kind of a small batch. I've only got about a pound of potato here. Now I'll throw in the onion. And a couple of tablespoons of cottage cheese, which I genuinely despise. Not for the flavor, but for the lack thereof. And I'll mix those in. And that is pretty much the traditional recipe, but you'll really commonly find a bunch of cheese added to that, like a nice sharp cheddar. I've got about 4 ounces of Gouda that I'm going to use today. Now I'm just going to stir the heck out of that while that cheese kind of melts into these potatoes. It looks like that cheese is pretty much all incorporated, mostly melted in there. And give that a taste. Oh man. And now I'll put both of the fillings out into the refrigerator for a little while I get the dough ready. I looked at all kinds of recipes for pierogi dough. They range anywhere from a simple flour and water and oil dough to this one that has some baking powder, eggs, and sour cream. They all look good, and I just settled on this one because it seemed the most interesting to me. So here I have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, to which I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of baking powder and just about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll just get those stirred together. And a lot of the recipes had you mix the eggs and the sour cream separately, but I'm going to go ahead and throw those right in here into a well in the middle. So I've got 2 eggs and a cup of sour cream. I'll just kind of work those eggs and sour cream together right here in the middle instead of in another bowl. And then I'll start to bring in the flour. There we go. Now it's all starting to come together. I'll turn this out and knead it a couple times. Yeah, just pick up everything out of the bowl. And I'm just going to knead this 5 or 6 times. Yeah, we'll just wrap this up in some plastic and let it rest out here at room temperature for about 30 minutes. That's going to give that flour a good chance to really hydrate. Alright, let's see what we can do. I'm going to first cut this in half. Roll it all out at once. Don't have that kind of space. Alright, let me get that back into a round. There we go. Just gonna kind of work it flat. My hands a little bit. It's a very soft dough, real easy to work. Alright, now roll it out from the center all the way out the edge. I like this dough. I'm not going to make it too awful thin. Maybe just under 1/8 of an inch if you really want to measure it. Nice. Let's see, which biscuit cutter is this? 3-inch. Oh, I got a 3-inch biscuit cutter. I'll just get as many rounds out of here as I can. Save that. And we'll roll it out again. Okay, let's go with our potato filling. So I'm going to want to get around a tablespoon of that filling down into these guys. That might be a little too much. I want it to be right in the middle there. So I want to keep the edges clean. Okay, now let's see how we can do here. First time, I want my hands to be a little floury. Grab that first one. Ow, I got a little too much filling in that one, so I know I don't want to get filling touching the outsides, so I'm going to kind of push it, stretch the dough a little bit, stretch it until I can get the middle to touch and give it a little squeeze. And tuck that in, work down around the edge, pulling it away from the filling just a little bit. And then come around, still keep my hands kind of dry, fingers, and give that a good pinch all the way around. We hope that will stay sealed through the cooking. And you could take a little fork and crimp the edges too, but I'm going to try and just do this pinch technique. That one is a little bit too full, I'm pretty sure, but we'll see. And I've got a little flour lined parchment here. I'll set those on. Now let's just crank out a bunch of these. See if we can get better as we go. A little dollop of the sauerkraut and onion filling. I found now that it's easier just to get a dollop of that potato filling, roll it around a little, and pop it right in the middle. Now that I've done a whole bunch of these, let's see how my technique is at this point. So, nice floury fingers. Take one of these guys. So then, two edges, pull them out, stretch them over the top until they touch, pinch that together. Tuck and pinch down this side. Come over here, tuck that in a little bit, and pinch down that side, and then give them a good firm pinch all the way around to seal it, and then come back even one more time the other way. And the proof will be if these boil up and don't come apart, but I think that looks pretty darn good.
Yeah!
There we go, looking good. Some better than others, obviously. This is a bit of a project, so I would definitely recommend doing this when you've got a day off. And if you're going to go through the time and effort, you might want to make a really big batch. Well, the good thing is they freeze well, and now's the time when you want to freeze them, before you boil them. And the way to do it is to put them on a sheet like this, not touching one another so they don't stick, and then you'll put this in the freezer, and once they get frozen up, you can put them into plastic bags and keep them frozen for a couple of months, and just pull out as many as you want to boil at a time. Now, just about ready to get boiling these, I'm going to take a little bit of oil, put it on a cooking sheet over here so I can transfer the pierogi onto there after they're done, so they won't stick before I go to frying them up a little bit. Now we're ready. I'm just going to plop these guys in. I got a nice rolling boil going. I'm not going to put a whole bunch in there. I'll give them a gentle stir to make sure they're not stuck to the bottom. Gently, though. It's been about 2 minutes. We got some starting to float, but they are definitely not cooked through, so I'm going to give them the full 5 minutes, that is. They're looking good so far. None of them are leaking. That's a good thing. There we go. Now, we'll take them out, drain a little bit, put them down onto our oiled sheet. Now these are good to eat as is. You just get yourself some sour cream and go to town. But I want another layer of texture on these, so I'm going to fry them up in a little butter and get a little crispy crust going on there. Oh, I got a pan going, kind of medium heat here. Get a nice dollop of butter going. Alright, now let's pop a few of these guys in here. Oh, get them nice and buttery.
Ouch!
There we go. I want to crowd the pan. I'll let those fry away and get a nice crust going. Oh, that looks good. Hear that? Oh, yeah. And now it's finally time to see how I did. Let me get started with that sauerkraut one. Oh, I can tell you right now that texture is good. A little gooey, a little chewy, a little crispy. Oh, oh wow. I really don't have any point of reference to judge that by, but I do know that that is delicious. Take a look at that. A beautiful sauerkraut and onion filling is really great. It's kind of sweet and sour at the same time, and that sour cream just really sets it off. That's excellent. All right. Moving on to the potato and cheese, the ruski. Oh boy. I just know this is gonna be good. Oh wow. Potatoes and cheese, there's just no way you can go wrong. Oh, it's so good. So, like I said, I've never had pierogi, so I can't really vouch for the authenticity or even the quality of these. I can tell you they're delicious and I'll make them again, so shout out to Mayo for inspiring me to do this recipe. But if you're somebody that makes pierogi, leave me some tips or some tricks down in the comments, or tell me where I went right and what I did wrong. And be sure to check back often to see what we can learn on Deep Dish. Thanks for watching.